Now, some authors studied the actual public expenditure. They have taken long-term trends, suppose 60 years, 80 years period of a particular country, and then try to understand why did this public expenditure increase or take place. Why it is rising? What are the factors behind? If you try to understand their study, that is empirical, actual data or actual expenditure plan. In this context, if I cite the example of Adam Smith, what did he say about government function? He said that there should be what is called minimum of government functions. But he prescribed certain functions must be done by the government, where he included, of which he included 5, 6 functions, and only 3. Suppose first one he said defense. This must be done by the government. Means government will expend money on defense. So where should government spend? He prescribed certain areas. And then maintenance of internal peace and order. So defense is external, internal peace and order, law, justice, police inside the country. And then he also used the term public development work. That means transport. And he included specifically at that time lighthouse. You know the lighthouse function. So let government should provide lighthouse for sea to for ship to sea. So he prescribed certain functions, and he said, if government is doing all this, fine. But if government is doing other than this, then he considers it is wasteful expenditure, because if people will do themselves, because he emphasized the concept, I think you know this, what we call self-interest, and he used the term for that. Invisible hand. Self-interest in Adam Smith didn't use this term. Self-interest, invisible hand. So that self-interest is invisible. So he said that other things people will do themselves in their own self-interest, so government should not do that. The government functions increased. So some of the authors studied the thing. One earliest theory in this context is of the German economist, and that is Wagner. He studied in the 19th century about the increasing expenditure of the developed countries. And he came to the conclusion, his theory or his hypothesis, you can say, known as the law of increasing state so Wagner's theory of law of increasing state activity. What he found in his study of the developed countries as to why expenditure, public expenditure is increasing. So his theory is law of increasing state activity. Naturally, if your activity increasing, government activity, expenditure will also increase. Here, in this context, use the words. This activity is both intensive and the other is extensive. The increase in activity is taking place intensively. Increase in activity taking place extensively. Now, extensively means new and new functions added to the state or government function. New functions. Extensive keeps on rising. New areas, new functions are being added. Now you can understand what government is doing to new functions added. So this is, suppose new functions added, naturally government expenditure will keep on rising. So such expenditure will be known as extensive increase. New functions.
But sir, then because certain activity, existing activity, if they take place intensively, then also expenditure will...
No, let me explain that. Extensive here means new functions added to the list of government functions, and government, you will find, almost regularly taking new functions in the economy. This is extensive as per Wagner definition or approach. The other is intensive increase. This means same old function of the government now done more intensively and efficiently. Mind the term, efficient. Defense is an old function of the government. Now intensively government is spending more, and also the defense is conducted in a more efficient manner. You understand? New technology or so many things that is taking place. In defense area, what are the expansions or other things you understand? So government is doing that work more intensive and efficiently. Similarly, in other areas, state administration, police, law and order, justice, these are all functions of the government, but they are now done in a more efficient manner, and also government is spending huge amount of that. So this such kind of expenditure increase on the same old functions Wagner described as intensive increase in government activity. So why did expenditure rise? Because of new functions added, because of old functions being done more intensively and efficiently. And government is now spending more and more money on that. So here you will understand that if government is undertaking these functions for whom? Government is taking these functions for the interest of the society. Then he also justifies that government is spending more because government activities is to meet the economic needs of the people. So same old functions or new functions also added together. Here you will understand that though the Wagner studies in the context of Germany, but his hypothesis or theory is being applicable to almost all the countries today. And there are other things involved in this process also, that is a technical question, that government expenditure is increasing faster than the increase in national income, than the increase in GDP. And it is a fact, government expenditure is rising fast as compared to increase in national income. So sometimes we use the technical thing that the elasticity of government expenditure is more as compared to the increase in the GDP or the increase in the national income of the country. So this law or the Wagner approach is studied in that way as to understand why government expenditure keeps on. Then there is another approach. This was Wagner. The second approach relating to this.
Now, while discussing this, so you used efficiency in case of intensive expenditure. But why efficiency should not be an expensive expenditure? Suppose new area is...
No, I'm not saying that extensive expenditure efficiency is not there. Here the point is why on old functions more is spent. So more is spent because the government is doing so many dimensions of the work. Intensive, and also the same function is done in a more efficient manner, and that entails larger expenditure. That is the point. That doesn't mean that the new functions are not being done efficiently. That is also done. But here, to emphasize the fact, the increase in expenditure on the old functions. Now, efficiently here, I think you understand, this technology improvement has increased public expenditure. This technology improvement has increased our expenditure also. You take anything today at your home or everywhere, all things are costlier. Why? Because of technology.
What kind of expenditure is more, but ultimately?
That is it. So this technology is, of course, doing things efficiently, but it is increasing expenditure also. So it is a common fact, I should say. So the other empirical hypothesis relates to the British author. That is Fiscal and Wiseman, two authors, Fiscal and Wiseman. They studied in the context of India, and they took long-term expenditure of the England from 1891 to 1955. You can understand they took roughly 65-year period, long-term trend in public expenditure as to why it is increasing. So, first thing in their analysis, and which I said in the beginning, how to finance the expenditure. Where from money will come? So here, he said through his study that actually people provided the money, that is taxation. So taxation has a limit. Taxation has a limit. But this is tolerable limit. What is the tolerable limit of taxation which people can tolerate? To pay. Unless they pay, expenditure cannot be financed in the long term. Now, he actually, since it is 65-year period, so he took two important periods in this history of getting war. And he found that Because of war, government expenditure increased. And during war time, people were ready to pay more because that patriotic feeling comes to mind and people sentiments say, you must fight the war, take the money, make the expenditure. So during war time, the taxable limit of the people increases or somehow or other people pay more. So government expenditure increased. But the question is, after the war, the government expenditure should have come down. Taxation should have come down. That did not happen. Of course, after the war, expenditure came down, but not to the same old level of pre-war expenditure. Despite coming down, it is higher than the earlier period. So he actually, what did he say? During war time, there is a peak. After that, expenditure came down. But that coming down of expenditure may not be up to this peak, but it is higher than the earlier level of expenditure, and it forms a plateau. So he says that during war time there is a peak, normal time there is a plateau, same expenditure more or less, but this plateau is higher than the earlier plateau. And this is possible because during war time people are ready to pay more to meet the government expenditure. So this is the financial part as to how government was able to spend more. Government was able to spend more because of the increase in the tolerable level of taxation of the people, and the expenditure kept on rising. This is one aspect. But other aspect that is more important and I think very, very relevant. What is talking? Suppose this is war. His term is displacement effect. War displaces so many things. So this displacement effect leads to increase in expenditure. I think talking to you what recently happened in army, cyclone, disaster. Of course, for this disaster is so much. It is also like the same thing. Because you all of a sudden want to spend more, forced to spend more. Because of the situation demands it. So you understand, he used the term displacement. When wartime takes place, disaster takes place, normal calamity takes place, so governments are forced to spend more. Another aspect, which is more important, is what we call inspection effect. Now, it is related to so many aspects of the government expenditure. Suppose war took place, and as I said, expenditure came down but not to the old level. It keeps on higher plateau. Why? Because war or disaster pointed out certain weaknesses, certain areas that require improvement, and you spend more on that. He calls that inspection effect, because these were the areas where we should spend money. Inspection effect. And to my mind, in today's setup, even in India, this inspection effect is more important. In various ways. Let me give very relevant or not, you have to think. Something happened in Delhi on 16th December 2012. The government thought that there are certain areas we should strengthen. And one example, fast track court. Do you think will it not lead to more expenditure? Inspection effect. That such cases should be decided at a faster pace. This is just one example. Number of examples there when we say inspection effect. A state government employees claim, give me everything as per central government level. They are comparing, they are inspecting, they also ask the same thing. This inspection effect is working more to my mind in India. We compare that they are getting this much, why not we? So this inspection effect is working, and particularly in a democracy, which I talked about.
Even the resolution system is positive.
Even?
The resolution system to be inspection.
You can say that. I'm not giving that concrete, but you understand what is this? So here the point is, what factors lead to government expenditure and how can you explain them that these factors are responsible. So broadly you find that what Prof. Weisman said, I think in about 61, the book appeared, and then we have been studying that, and I found what hypothesis they provided, they are working in actual real world. That the expenditure increasing, and why is it increasing, that you have to take into account. I'm not saying that this is bad, but the question is, inspection effect points to the weaknesses of the particular area, and you want to provide that kind of service or facility or meet the requirement, and you are able to meet that high expenditure. Take for example, now you are saying that because this computerization is schools, one state distributing laptop, other state also distributing laptop. This you have to understand. So you may take it in our country what it is known as competitive politics. But it is actually, if I remember Prof. Weisman, I will say it is inspection effect. But we have been talking in our country that it is a competitive politics that keeps on expenditure rising. So this thing you have to be clear here that when we talk this hypothesis and when we try to understand this, you have to take this fact into account.
But
There are,
in case of war, at wartime you recruit number of people who will remain after war also in government. So that will later on that.
yes, pension, etc., other things will be maintained. That is there. But the question is, war, what he said, war is a situation which displaces.
Right.
And displacement is taking place in the form of increasing expenditure. And that being the reason that we were expecting that expenditure will come down because war is over. But even after war is over, your expenditure has come down, but not to the old pre-war level. So this is the point as to why it is forming a higher plateau, as you were saying, that there may be related, a lag expenditure related to war that the government has to meet.
Then we are trying to explain in the case of Indian context, in other trigger events like cyclones and
Yes, that's because I said war, God forbid, but this calamity is taking place. And now, what amount we are spending or forced to spend is very important. You have to see. So this, and also, to my mind, calamities are happening today in a very severe form. This did not happen a few years earlier. Whenever it is coming today, it is in a very ferocious dimension. And naturally, you have to spend more. And as I have already said, because of technology change,
you are aware of it coming.
naturally, you have to do. So these are some of the aspects that you have to understand. Then there are some, there are some other things. Yes.
So you said about this distribution of laptops and all these points. Now, my point is, this phenomenon has started very recently. Our government is
From Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu, making machine, giving ornaments, they brought artists.
All.
Now, how, this phenomenon is very recent, about 10-15 years old. Why it did not happen earlier? That's my question. I think it must be very old.
No, that, I use that term because of competitive politics. Number of political party players are there. Earlier, why did it not take place earlier? So, we were having, just a minute. So, earlier, Congress was there. Now, 3-4 more parties, even at the regional level, emerged. So, how to surpass one to the other? So, I promise one thing, if you promise more than that, he promises still more than that. So, this competitive politics led to the situation that we are talking today. Even you see in Delhi manifesto, some of the things, water free or say, something like this. Now the question that you have to understand, that when I said in the beginning, democracy, and again that self-interest and vote exchange, how it is taking place. Their objective is to take more vote. Our objective is to get more benefits. How it is actually bartering out or taking place, that you just observe. But this leads to increase in expenditure. And the problem that you have to find that if I say the Indian condition, the government is not just getting money through taxation. Because if you see this, most of the revenue expenditure is made by borrowing. In central government, this has started from, if I remember right, 1979. Continuous revenue deficit is taking place. And you know, being government employee, revenue means current expenditure and current income. So it is taking place in the revenue side of the budget. Revenue side of the budget. And in economic terms, revenue side we call consumption. Because It is current expenditure. This is recurring expenditure. It is not forming any capital. So the question is, there is no asset creation. So what is happening? You are borrowing to meet your current consumption. This means that the burden of debt will increase in the form of higher interest payment. But the question is, public do not know this. Public see, I am getting the benefit. Where from you are getting money, and in the long term, it is burden on the people in the form of higher interest payment, higher taxation. Who knows? Even middle class, we. How many people know? So this is you have to understand how this is taking place and how long it will continue, I cannot say. But this politics is going on. The new things, as I said, we borrowed some of the things from US. What Narasimha Rao government adopted just to keep his government in power, and this MP local development area. They started from there. He borrowed the concept from US. It was there also, in different form. Yes. So that is also democracy. So I'm not saying this. But one thing I will simply submit as the end, that you just try to understand, use your common sense, and also see that the way things are happening. And if they are not improving, you must know the reasons for that. But I think gradually there will be some refinement, transparency in the system, and things will improve. Do I have a further question?
What should be done, or what is desirable?
Regarding what?
Regarding the appropriateness of public expenditure.
Yes.
जो competitive politics भी है वो